What do a millionaire rapper, an NBA champion, and a Super Bowl quarterback all have in common? The internet claims they all suffer from nice guy syndrome. But this video won't actually be all about Klay Thompson, Drake, and Russell Wilson. It's about a hidden behavioral trap that millions of everyday men fall into without even realizing it. So today I'll be breaking down the 5 hidden dangers of nice guy syndrome. Obviously, I'll be explaining what it is, and I'll be using Drake, Klay Thompson, and Russell Wilson as an example. And I want to drive home that this nice guy syndrome doesn't only hurt the dating experience and relationships, but it's also toxic to the men who are labeled as so-called nice guys. This is Slept on Shay, and welcome to another session of Speak Your Soul Sessions. So what is nice guy syndrome? Nice guy syndrome is a behavioral pattern where individuals, this can affect anybody. There can be nice woman syndrome, right? But often men believe that being inherently nice, helpful, and avoiding conflict entitles them to love, sex, or validation. It is characterized by hidden agendas, people pleasing, low self-confidence, poor boundaries, and covert manipulation, often leading to resentment where expectations aren't met. Okay, and now we'll get into the 5 hidden dangers behind this a little more, and this is going to be a combination of what I was reading from, looking at psychology sources, and just my own genuine thoughts. So number 1, the problem with being labeled as a nice guy is what you call transactional kindness. So it's the type of kindness that you only perform, or the things you only do because you think there will be a reward system, something that you'll get out of it, and it's not genuine. The second issue with nice guy syndrome is that there's a sense of entitlement or victimhood. And attraction really does not work like a reward system, right? So either people are attracted to you or not. Either they like you or not. Just because you're a nice person doesn't mean someone will be attracted to you. And it doesn't mean that you'll get great things out of life. And I think that's a hard truth or hard pill to swallow for most people. The thing that says, if you work hard, if you go above and beyond, if you're super nice, you should have a good life. People should like you. People should love you. And that doesn't always work out. So the best thing you could ever do is just be genuine. And if you're going to be nice because it makes you feel good at night. You can sleep at night knowing that you were just a good person. You put good energy out into the world. But you didn't do it because you automatically assume someone would like you more, or it would get you sex, or it would get you acceptance, or that validation that you're looking for. The third reason why nice guy syndrome can be dangerous, and this is more so from the perspective of the man who's being labeled as this, is that it puts men in a box that kind of strips them of their humanity, their desire for sex, their allowance to be angry or innately human, right? And then it strips them from their ability to kind of set boundaries because they are always people pleasing or just trying to prove to people that they aren't a bad guy, right? But humans get angry. Humans, if they want to have a healthy life, know how to establish boundaries. So it's kind of like it just puts them in a box where people label them as corny or automatically assume that they don't have the feelings and emotions that other people are allowed to have. And the fourth reason why nice guy syndrome is so dangerous is that it leads to a lot of resentment. As I said, tying back to the entitlement and the victimhood, it'll be like, I bought her flowers, I did all of these nice things, and she still doesn't like me, or I still didn't end up in a relationship, or I still wasn't able to gain sex from this woman. And then it will lead the guy to kind of hate whoever the woman chooses next. It'll lead to this dangerous type of thinking where it's like, well, all women just choose bad guys and they go for the bad boys with the money. But, you might not process that the woman just may have not been attracted to you, or, you were nice, but there were other reasons why she just found herself not to be compatible with you. It could have been because she likes to go for hikes and you don't. It could have been because she likes to travel and you don't. We're not really owed the explanation of why people like us or don't. The only thing that we should focus on is being with the people who actually do like us and love us. And it's important not to be bitter because of rejection. You can be hurt. Of course, it hurts to not get what you want out of life, but you should just work on building a life that you love, and then you'll just appreciate love when it comes, whenever that may be. But to force people to like you or love you is very problematic. You want things to be natural and you don't want things to be forced. And then finally, the problem, or the fifth issue to me with nice guy syndrome, is that we overpraise qualities that most decent people should have because the bar is so low. And women, I'm talking specifically to you, you'll be like, oh, he texts me back, he bought me flowers, he communicates consistently. And these things are all great qualities to have, but they should be things that you should expect from everybody in your life. So these kind of what I call prerequisites for just being a decent human, we put so much stock into them because the bar is so low when it comes to dating sometimes that we just overpraise this. He did this for me. He did that. That should be your standard. And then everything after that you have should be the things that you're really looking at. Someone texting you back, someone consistently talking to you on the phone, someone showing up how they say they will show up. We shouldn't put, so much stock into that. It just speaks to how low the bar has become when it, in relation to dating. We should have not unrealistic or impossible standards, but these basic things that for your birthday, your best friend will buy you things. For a special event, your mom will show up. All the people in your life probably, or if they're good people, as we're saying, they probably do these things on the norm. And then when a guy comes along and do these things, you act like it's so special. But all of these things, consistency, being an excellent communicator, they're just decent human qualities, not just as it relates to men, if that makes any sense. Okay, so now let's tie in Klay Thompson, Drake, and Russell Wilson to this. They've all been labeled as nice guys, whether they were marketed that way in the case of Drake, or rather people just observed their lifestyle and just labeled that, or society labeled them that. So in the case of Drake, he was presented as this nice guy, sensitive guy, not afraid to bare his soul in his music. Hip hop is a very kind of braggadocious genre where you get more praise for being hard or being street smart, right? So just like in the case with LL Cool J's I Need Love, right? They were saying, no, don't put this song out, it's corny, it's cheesy. But Drake kind of built his whole persona off of being the nice guy, and that was problematic because we saw later in life how he had so many failed relationships, and a lot of women actually found him cringe, and people found him to kind of be obsessive. And the biggest issue is that we're questioning whether he is, I hate to say it or talk about it, but it is what it is. We had to have real conversations. A PDF file, like he was caught on stage, kissing a 17-year-old girl, and that's just creepy, it's cringy, it's wrong. But it goes to show that nice guys behind the scenes can really be jerks or not be as great as they seem to be. So if you do find a person to be a good person, maybe you want to call them reliable or dependable or funny or all of these things, because just labeling them as a nice guy kind of strips them of the fact that sometimes they can be mean or just not good people. So we have to be careful with that. And in the case of Klay Thompson, he's the chill guy, right? So he's a person who has not publicized his relationships, maybe until Megan Thee Stallion publicized their former relationship. But people know him for his stats. They didn't know him for his relationships. So when a guy seems chill or laid back or not to be one who wants to be put in the spotlight for anything but his talent, as opposed to his relationships, right? You're then labeled as a nice guy, someone who doesn't someone who seems to want to be private, right? But there was all this information apparently out in the world that he was a serial cheater, and nobody did the digging until after the breakup with Megan Thee Stallion happened. And I don't say that to bash him or to kind of put Megan Thee Stallion on a pedestal. It's just, I encourage people to be more knowledgeable or to do some digging to figure out who a person really is. Sometimes people, even, your family, your church community, whoever, might be like, oh, this is a really good guy. This is a really nice guy. You should be with him. He seems so wholesome. And then it will cause you to kind of ignore the signs that may be there or the red flags. And I would say the same for women. Just because a woman, she goes to church or she seems to be this wholesome lady, it is your job to have discernment and vet people before automatically assuming that they're so good and nice, because at the end of the day, people are human and they have their flaws, and you have to figure out what flaws you'll be willing to deal with. And then finally, in the case of Russell Wilson, right? Like, we don't know him as being a problematic person in the sense of we don't know him for being a cheater or sadly a potential PDF file or person that likes to engage in cringy, inappropriate relationships with minors, right? Or connections with minors. But people label him as the corny, cheesy, cringy guy who, if he didn't have the stats that he had or the amount of money that he had, Sierra would not look his way. People have said that Sierra's real type was Future. Future didn't act right, so she had to settle for a quote good guy, right? Or nicer guy, which is problematic because, number one, like, essentially nobody should want to be the person that a person settles for, right? So you have to do your due diligence of making sure that a person genuinely likes you and that they didn't settle for you, like they really are physically attracted to you and that the love is genuine. I mean, that's something that we all have to do. But also, I don't think that there's anything corny or cringy about a man who fell in love and has 3 beautiful children, and the fourth one, that's his stepson, but he considers him his son, right? Nonetheless, because he's there for him, he raises him, he treats him as his own. I think that the relationship between Russell Wilson and Sierra is very beautiful. But I guess Russell Wilson has been labeled just as a good guy because maybe he's a Christian. We don't know too much about his dating history besides the fact that he's divorced and he's been through one marriage. I mean, he, like Klay Thompson, has relatively kept a lot of his dating life private, and we just see all the footage of how he prayed for Sierra, essentially how Sierra prayed for him, and a lot of their content is very just wholesome and loving and sweet. I think it's toxic that people consider that to be corny or cringy. I'm a lover girl. I love love. So, but yeah, the problem with that is, in the case of Russell Wilson, is people see him as corny, cringy, a guy who doesn't have swag. But I'm like, look at his stats. This guy has a lot of money. He's talented. He has a beautiful wife and kids. And once again, if you think that's corny, then you are the problem. But it ties back to what I said. I hate when people who are, I don't want to say good people, right? But people who are reliable, people who are dependable, people who aren't unproblematic, people who are healthy, people who have done the work of healing can be kind of put into that type of box. Because I bet you if somebody captured hidden footage of Sierra and Russell yelling or arguing, if that'll ever happen, then people will be like, see, I knew he wasn't all of that great of a guy. See. But yeah, it's just important not to try to label people too harshly, put them in a box, because once again, like I said, it just strips away their humanity and makes them this kind of one-dimensional creature who is not allowed to express a full array of emotions and feelings, right? I'm sure Russell gets angry, right? I'm sure he and Sierra argue. They don't want to show that side to media, of course, but you know, we can't just assume that, quote, nice guys or good people should be these people-pleasing people who will do everything you want, everything you say all the time, and everything is perfect, because that's just not true. And on that note, I hope that you enjoyed this deep dive behind why nice guy syndrome or labeling men as nice guys is problematic. I do have another video that you'll see on your screen. I'll also link it in the description box, called The Self-Proclaimed Good Guy. So I've kind of talked about this topic before, just not as deeply. And this is Slept on Shay once again, signing off from Speak Your Soul Sessions. I hope that you have a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you may be in the world. And please remember to hit that like button, share this video if you enjoyed it, comment below. If you're a man watching this, have you been labeled as a good guy? What has been your experience with that? And if you're a woman, talk to me about, you know, your experience of dating a guy who you thought was a good guy, or maybe you did date someone who was a good guy and he genuinely was a good guy and you ended up marrying him, or you've been in a long-term relationship. Go ahead and talk about that there. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell if you've just been enjoying the videos. I don't want you to miss a single session. We talk about a lot on this channel, and I would hate for you to miss out.
I'm a little hype. I'm a little hype.
And you should be.
Yeah.
God's favor ain't fair.
God's favor is real.
That's very true. Now come get some of this favor.
Oh gosh.
That's good. Use that for the content. Use that for the content.
No, babe, stop.
We can use something else.
No, okay. All right, I'm gonna end it.